Mabuhay, Kamustika, welcome. How are you? This is Bob from Love Beyond the Sea. Have you heard the statement, she will always love her family more than you? Well, that's probably something we should talk about. Something you will hear often if you read enough comments on message boards and viewer comments on YouTube is, she will always love her family more than you. This is in reference to a Filipina's affection for her family being greater than it will ever be for her foreigner husband. Now, I am married to a Filipina. Since this is always something that seems to be a conversation ender, I think there is a way to understand this unsettling statement without giving up seeking a Filipina to marry. Subscribe to Love Beyond the Sea, where I do my best to encourage you if you are willing to marry a woman from the Philippines. I want to hear from you, so leave a comment and get notifications for the many videos I am working on to help men become comfortable with the idea of marrying a Filipina. So what does this really mean? She will always love her family more than you. You're going to hear it. It could be used as a warning to not get too involved with a Filipina, to not give your heart to her, because you are really always going to be at least second place to her. Some may use it as merely a concession to reality, but would still recommend a Filipina wife, although it still sounds like a lament. At other times, it seems to serve the purpose to tell a foreigner that he would be crazy to give his love to a Filipina because it won't be requited the same. I think the key to how to interpret this comment is the word love. This is from what I'm going to read now from Tracy Smith of ecounseling.com, and I think this is important. And they say, interestingly enough, the solitary word love is somehow supposed to encompass all of these emotions and feelings. Perhaps society has taught us to distinguish the various types and degrees of love based on connotations, nuances, or experiences. In contrast, philosophers in ancient Greece made the concept more concrete by breaking it down into various categories. Ancient Greek philosophers came up with 7 types of love as follows. Number 1, there's eros, love of the body. And this type of love illustrates sexual attraction, physical desire towards others, and a lack of control. It is powerful, passionate, and it can dissipate and quickly. Relationships that are built solely on eros love tend to be short-lived. Then, very importantly, there is a second kind called Philia, which is affectionate love. Philia love accounts for the type of love that you feel for parents, siblings, family members, and close friends. This type of love is linked with loyalty, companionship, and trust. Philia love is shared amongst those who have similar values and experiences. And just real quick, there's storge, which is the love of a child. Agape, selfless love, representative of universal love. Greek philosophers felt that this is the type of love that people feel for other humans, for nature, and for a higher power. There's something called ludus, which is playful love, defined by flirtatiousness, seduction, and sex without commitment. There's something called pragma, long-lasting love, and this long-lasting love is evident in couples who have been together for a long time. This type of love can only survive with constant maintenance and nurture. And then there's philassia, that's self-love. So getting back to the topic, how would I determine that she loves her family more than me? That statement includes that she loves her husband. Of course, she loves her family, and of course, she loves her husband. Is it because the Filipino wife seems determined to help her family in a sacrificial way? Is it because she spends a lot of time chatting with her family? What is the basis of believing she loves her family more than her Western husband? Well, I think it's a different kind of love. Her love for her family is expressed differently from the descriptions I gave a minute ago. Number 2 stands out to me as very significant. Philia love, affectionate love, accounts for the type of love that you feel for parents, siblings, family members, close friends. This type of love is linked with loyalty, companionship, and trust. Philia love is shared amongst those who have similar values and experiences. We all applaud a Filipina for her strong bond with her family, and that's one of the features that attracts a man to a Filipina. I hope no one is asking her to lessen that love, that strong bond with her parents and siblings and other relatives. I don't think that's necessary. If I took that view, then I would feel like I am on the outside looking in. I don't feel unloved or lesser loved by the fact I know my wife has such a strong love for her family, a Philia love. It is also a very sacrificial love. Depending on the Filipina, it could be a forced sacrificial love or a bona fide one. I'm not interested in altering the love my wife has for her family. I choose to embrace her family. The Filipina isn't likely cognizant of having a greater affection for her family. She is doing what comes naturally and perhaps to some extent culturally. Since I love my wife, I love what she loves. As time has gone by in our 4 years and maybe 4 months of marriage, I have become more attached to her family, and it has been a good thing for us. My wife appreciates that I want to help with special occasions, sometimes with urgent necessities, and other times I just want to bless them. That helps strengthen our relationship. I look forward to seeing them, and I sincerely hope they know how I feel about them. You see, a Filipina can love both you and her family. I don't get concerned about whether or not she will love her family more than me. To be honest with you, I think it is remarkable how a woman can be a great wife while not diminishing love for her family. Remember, the fact that she loves her family is the reason that my wife flew 9,800 miles one day to settle down with me and be my wife. And I don't feel like I'm sharing her with her family in the Philippines. She didn't have to marry a man so far away from her family. She chose to after I proposed to her that I needed a wife and I wanted it to be her. I think it is amazing how she can maintain her strong identity with her family and at the same time meet my needs. And she does love me too. I don't feel shortchanged. I don't feel less loved. If she was avoiding me and draining the bank account for her family, that would be one thing, but that's not how it is. I recommend any foreigner married to a Filipina to count his blessings, to ask himself, where else is he going to find someone like his Filipina wife? Before I married her, I told her 3 main needs that I had, and she has met those needs. She is continuing to meet those needs. She strives to meet the needs of her family back home, while at the same time wonderfully being the kind of wife that I've always wanted, and it's even better than I thought it would be. I say more power to her loving her family because it doesn't interfere with her love for me. I also want to mention that my needs are going to change somewhat as I get older. And you know what? I believe she will skillfully adapt to those needs in typical nurturing and caring Filipina manner. Something to think about. Her family has always been in her life. Always. My wife had known her family for 26 years before she even knew I was alive. We just discovered each other on March 17th, 2015. And as an older daughter, my wife has had a lot of responsibility to provide for her family, and she does so beautifully. You can take the Filipina out of the Philippines, but you can't take the Philippines out of the Filipina. And that's where her family is, that's where her heart is. A foreign man just needs to understand that he is new on the scene. I didn't marry her to reduce her love for her family or to compete for her affection. When the Bible says that children leave parents to be joined to their spouse, I believe this is mainly concerned with coming out from under the authority of her parents and being under the loving authority of her husband. It doesn't mean a surrender of familial love. Perhaps one of the reasons our marriage has gone fairly smoothly is that I don't begrudge her affection for her family. I don't see it as competition. Helping her family is another way I can show love to her. Now, I hope my wife loves God more than she loves me. If you want to talk about coming in second place, my wife and I have said that God comes before each of us, that we love God more than anything or anyone else. Because of this, we all have to come under God in priority. For myself, it's God, Isa, us, me. I get to have the lowest priority, but that doesn't prevent me from having a fulfilling marriage. I think my wife knows that I will choose God before her because I have to love him more than anyone else. I have to be more devoted to him than anyone else. However, this love allows for and calls for the love of others. It is not all or nothing, which is the same with a Filipina's love for her family. She can still love her husband. Once a man is secure with his wife's strong affection for her family, he is able to do this next thing: be secure and more concerned about giving than receiving. Before I conclude, just this thought: if you are stressed out about marrying a woman with strong affection or love for her family, don't be. If you are secure in your love for your Filipina wife, you can be more concerned with giving than receiving. Don't hold back your affection to her. Try to show love to her family too, and she will love you for it. And one final thought: our love will continue to grow. My Filipino wife doesn't love her family more than she loves me. She loves us both in the appropriate ways of each. Don't let anyone make you afraid to seek a Filipina on account of family affection. This hasn't been a problem for many of us who have found love beyond the sea.